It's recording.
Okay.
What? What's recording?
We're still doing this?
No.
Oh,
Well, I
hey.
mean, we weren't, and now we are.
I fell asleep for about a year and a half, and woke up and I was still here. Now I'm sad. So, yeah, that happened.
Well, while you were asleep, we were playing Racco.
Racco. I have no interest in that card game, so you can go ahead and explain it for everyone. Oh, by the way, you're listening to the Retro Fat Cast. I am Jason Waugh. Next to me is,
Wes.
and next to him is,
Lauren,
and next to him is.
an observer.
Okay, perfect. We're all here. Anyway,
Most of us.
what's this Racco I hear so much about from the kids on the street lately?
Oh, Racco is an awesome game that you refuse to play.
So I've heard. Tell me
You
more.
started playing it at one point, and you fell asleep. Yeah.
So
Right.
it's
You sort of... I think you were 2 or 3 turns in, and then you just started clawing at the cards and pulling them out of the plastic rack, and then you just fell
kind of
asleep.
stare at them and it
Yeah.
was like kind of just fell over.
I
So,
remember sleeping.
Yeah.
So, great game.
But it's a really fun game. It was from Milton Bradley from the 70s.
Do you know if there's any newer versions of it, or is that it?
I have never seen it before.
Okay.
We happened to be cleaning out our great aunt's house, and I found it buried in a closet with some other really old games. And it's like, wow, this could be fun.
Doesn't it describe itself as a filing game?
Yes, it's a card filing game. Everybody wants to file cards.
Yeah, that sounds extremely exciting,
Yes, doesn't it?
but it's actually really fun. You just have this little plastic rack where you slide the cards into these little slots. There's 10 cards.
The rack holds 10 cards, and each card is numbered 1 through 60. So you got 60 cards, and you put them in there as they're dealt to you. And then each turn you draw a card, and you can choose to replace one of the cards in your rack with that card, and then, or
And
you could just
try to get
discard
them
it.
to go from lowest to highest. Basically,
Yeah.
is what it is. It sounds really boring, I know, but if you happen to track down a copy of this game from the 70s, buy it.
Yeah, it's actually quite fun.
What? I fell asleep again. What's by?
Yeah, well, probably everyone
Squacko
else
or
fell asleep.
Quacko or whatever.
No, that's per Quacky. That's one of the other ones we found.
Oh yeah.
Haven't played it yet.
What is
That's-
that game?
That's a word game.
Hey, Jason.
No.
You bought a Virtual Boy today.
Oh,
I
I bought a Virtual Boy.
Okay,
yeah.
Lauren bought a Virtual Boy.
Jason just made me.
Jason
I will end up
decided
playing
that
it
he
the
wanted
most because even if everyone else wants to try it, I'm sure at some point people are gonna be like, "My eyes are bleeding. Boo hoo! I'm so sad." And no, but yeah, it's great. Like I finally gave in to the temptation of stupid Virtual Boy. Like, okay, so we were all kids in the 90s, unless you're listening to this and you happen to be older or younger. I don't know. But anyway, we were kids in the 90s. And I used to see Virtual Boy like in 95, I think, is when it came out. It was in the stores and stuff. They had it on display. Like other consoles, they were on display like all the time, like Super Nintendo and N64 and stuff. You used to be able to, I mean, you could probably play like PlayStation 4 or something at a Best Buy now if you go there, but anyway, back in the day, they had Virtual Boys.
Wait, I'm
on
going to interrupt you
display.
for a second. At Walmart, do they still have consoles on display when they come out?
They
And
do
with
have
do, but I don't
consoles
think you can
occasionally.
play 'em.
They've got a PlayStation one that has a couple demos. Usually, it's just like playing videos.
Oh
but
wait, yeah, I did.
Is that just a thing that doesn't happen anymore?
I don't know. It's just kind of a trend that went away. Like you can't just play a game in the store for a bit. At least
I usually see them at Best Buy, like when the
they
Xbox came
definitely
out
have
with the
'em at Best
Kinect and
Buy.
stuff. They always had that set up so you could play with the
Okay.
Kinect. And
Like I was at Best Buy just a week ago or something, and yeah, they had like an Xbox One on display, and maybe the PlayStation 4, and even the Wii U. So yeah, I guess it depends on where you go, but they do. I remember playing Ratchet and Clank, that new one that's like remake of the first game on PlayStation 4 at Walmart.
I think I remember seeing PS3 in the store with demo games or something on it. That was probably the last one I saw, but it just, you guys didn't get a PS4 or a Xbox One in to do that.
No, we don't even have a PlayStation 3, but we did have an Xbox 360, and it'd be nice to have a PlayStation 3 to like play the games that came out on it and not the 360, but I don't know. I was never too worried about it. And these new consoles, I don't care about these newfangled consoles. All I need is my Virtua Boy.
So back to the Virtual Boy.
Yes.
Go burn your retinas out.
Yeah. Okay. So my story was, I was a kid in like '95. I was about 8 years old or so, and I'd go to the store like Kmart, I think at the time.
Yeah, it was Kmart.
And they had Super Nintendo on display like always and stuff. And I used to play it and be like, wow, it's so neat looking. It's because at the time it pretty much only had Nintendo and a little later Genesis, and then it wasn't until I was like 10 or 11 we got Super Nintendo, I think. But I'd see the Virtual Boy on display, and I could hold the controller and like push the buttons and stuff, but I wasn't tall enough to look into the eyepiece because they had it mounted up way real high.
Yeah,
now, I don't know if that was because they're worried
you don't
about...
want anybody stealing it or
No,
dropping
they're worried
it
about the stupid, like, kids under 7 or whatever shouldn't play the Virtual Boy. Like, if you look at the Virtual Boy box or any of its... turn the game on, whatever, it'll give you warnings like, warning, don't play it too long or your eyes might melt. Don't let kids play it or they'll turn into serial killers and rapists. And it's like, come on, I just want to see the 3D. Like, I knew it was 3D as a kid, and I really wanted to see 3D as much as possible as a kid, and I still do. Frankly.
I
like 3D.
I was tall enough to look at it, and it was doing like Tetris or something in there.
Which is not the best example. Like, they should have had Teleroboxer
Was it
playing.
the 3D Tetris or the
Yeah,
normal Tetris?
Yeah, it was the 3D.
At least it was that much.
But still, like, even though it's in 3D-ish, it's not a good demonstration. Like, the Virtual Boy Teleroboxer puts you in a first-person perspective, and that's, like, I think the only game that does it, really. And at least that was a better representation of what the console could do. Like, virtual implies that it's like a virtual reality sort of thing. Like, it makes you feel like you're in the game. But really, it's just kind of Game Boy games with enhanced graphics, but red and black instead of green black. And
some of them have a 3D-ish perspective to it.
And aside from like being able to do 3D objects in the game, it's in stereoscopic 3D, which was the hook, and it's why I always wanted one. And now I have one, I guess, and so that happened. But
yeah,
I really am looking. I haven't played it yet, and I'm looking forward as hell to playing it. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, I played it and my eyes hurt after 10 minutes. It's like, suck it up, you pansies. I want to I want virtual 3D anything. I like...
So recently you slept for 17 hours straight. So do you plan on playing Virtual Boy for 17 hours straight now?
Yes. Well, no. But...
Maybe a Hot Pocket break in the middle?
No. Does it have to be Hot Pockets?
Well, everybody's coming out now with the new virtual reality things, and it's basically the same thing.
Well, it's
just
the same premise. They just the Virtual Boy never took off. They only had like 15 games for it, maybe ever, and it's kind of unfortunate because it would have been neat to see the potential of this console.
Well, with everybody going blind from using it too much.
As far as the Oculus Rift or whatever the hell's come out now,
and the Vive, the HTC Vive or whatever.
Yeah,
I know the Vive and the Oculus Rift, and there's like a Sony one.
Have you heard about like any eye strain problems people have been having?
Not really. From what I understand, most people are using it just fine without any problems. Like, really, the only pain comes from people who wear glasses, and they usually have to take off their glasses to wear the headset, obviously.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because otherwise, they can wear glasses, but I heard people wearing them complain like it pushes the glasses into like their nose or whatever, and it becomes.
Well, it's like
uncomfortable.
watching the 3D movies at the.
They need to have like a
theater.
special attachment to just
Yeah.
give it more space, maybe for people with glasses.
Yeah, and it depends on which console you have. Each one has like adjustment features and stuff you can do to make it more comfortable. But I've never used one. So.
It's like me. I'm nearsighted. If I was using one of those, I could take my glasses off and be able to see just fine. It's the people who are farsighted and can't see up close that would have to
because
wear
the
their glasses.
the screen's right in front of your eyes.
The screen is literally an inch away from your eyes.
Yeah, it's it's a problem I can't really identify with. I don't wear glasses. My eyesight's about the only part of me that isn't hopelessly wrecked, and I look forward to ruining that with Virtual Boy in the coming weeks. But it's cool though. Like the thing is complete. It has all the stand and the plug and the controller and all the doodads. Everything's like in perfect working order. Looks just fine, nice and clean. But the big draw was it came in this nice plastic case. It's pretty big too. It's like a big suitcase, like one of those old ones for big cameras back in the day.
That's what they
Foam
used
lined.
when they rented them from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
It was like the only place that had them. It wasn't
Yeah,
something
it wasn't
you could
something
buy.
you buy at stores. It was Blockbusters would rent consoles, including Virtual Boy, for the time it lasted. And yeah, that was one of the features. Like you get this nice protective case for it, because obviously, how the hell are you're not gonna just hold the thing and take it home?
Well, Blockbuster, I'm sure, didn't want it to be dinged up
Yeah,
and damaged in
they
the
don't-
back of somebody's car.
Just throw it in the back seat.
Yeah,
it's
just
not going to last.
Throw it in the
very long.
back seat or in the trunk or something and rolls around. And
yeah, they
you know,
want
it's
to.
kind
It's
of
a
a
protection
delicate
measure.
piece of equipment with the.
It's a protection measure.
Which
Yeah.
I can't believe they
It-
didn't make
it's-
it just like a standard thing that you could buy.
Yeah,
Because it's
later consoles,
something
you could
makes
just
sense.
buy like cases for them and stuff, and yeah, I mean, but no matter how they marketed the Virtual Boy, it is not a portable thing. Like they have pictures of kids like using it in public, like lying in the grass with it on their faces, like, no, it's virtual. Wow. It's like, no, it's not it. It's something you play at home on a table in front of you, because it's not something you take with you. Especially nowadays,
Do you
when
actually
they're
have to
rare.
plug it into the wall?
Yes, it plugs into the wall. It can use batteries also.
Okay.
But
get what 30 minutes. Of
So
gameplay?
they weren't just blatantly lying about
No,
the
you could
portability
use
factor.
batteries. You could,
or
take it
or you just
somewhere.
get a really long extension cord.
Yeah.
I have a 600-foot extension cord, so I could lay in the middle of the park.
Or you know, on the sidewalk outside of the drugstore, bribe the employee to run your extension cord into their store.
Or
and
be
plug it
like
into the wall.
all the young kids at Walmart and hang out front and plug into the wall outlet that's outside
Oh,
while
yeah,
they
that-
charge
yeah.
their phone.
Or
Not
where
buying
or where
anything.
I work, you go out into the back and there's one over there in the little alleyway or something. I'm gonna play Virtua Boy out here.
Yeah, I look forward to finding me out there one of these days, Wes, just crouched amongst the garbage playing my Virtua Boy. Like, I need an outlet, man. I gotta have more VB.
Right next to the homeless guy charging his phone.
Yeah.
This hobo smells, but I'm playing Mario Tennis. I'm on a roll.
I'm just-
Outside.
Just pretend he's your opponent and that he stinks.
Yeah.
Damn, this opponent's got real bad BO.
Yeah.
Too bad
and-
they never really released that connector to play two-player Virtual Boy games, even though some games were designed with that functionality, but it was such a piece of crap that was canceled before they were able to release that accessory. But
As far as the whole 3D thing goes, like Jason, you're somebody that is really into that. Like you
yeah,
want
I
to see
still like
lots
it.
and
I
lots
want to
of 3D.
see like 3D movies. I still haven't gone to like an proper IMAX big screen ultra best 3D, like a movie designed for 3D, not a shitty 2D conversion. I want to see the best there is because
Lauren-
I have fond memories of
Lauren,
IMAX as a
what's
kid.
your opinion on 3D anything?
That's cool. It's just the movies. It's like I said, I'm nearsighted, so I have to wear glasses to see far away. So at the movies, if you
So
go,
you're having to wear those 3D
yeah, you gotta
glasses
wear
on top
glasses
of your glasses.
over glasses. So if they don't design it properly, I mean, we've had two different types of glasses. Some of them will actually fit over your glasses well enough that
They're like
it's
those.
not really a
They're like those old 80s or 90s like
giant.
Terminator looking
Yeah, big
sunglasses
aviators
that they would
glasses.
make to go over somebody's glasses.
Yeah, but then there's the other ones that look more like regular glasses, and those are a pain to wear on
Right.
top of your glasses. So it just depends.
Yeah.
So, but as far as I'm concerned, I know there's certain people that can't see 3D properly.
Yeah, it's not some universal
don't-
everyone can.
I don't know if that's me or not, but when I watched a 3D movie, the 3D looked just like cardboard cutouts kind of coming away from the screen. And then I watched the Real D 3D, which is not IMAX.
Yeah.
It's the other one.
It's
And
like the
they looked like
cheaper
cardboard
one.
cutouts to me. Now, when I watched the IMAX 3D, everything looked super blurry and I got motion sick from it.
Oh,
So
that's not good.
I'm not really a big fan of 3D
Yeah.
anything. I don't know. It just doesn't interest me that much because from what I've seen, it doesn't look impressive to me. I don't know what it looks like to anybody else though.
I think
and-
it looks spiffy.
And when I've seen like your 3DS, it just looks blurry to me.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just cross-eyed.
I mean, you can adjust.
Do I look cross-eyed?
No.
But maybe
You can adjust
Maybe.
the 3D on the 3DS, but I don't know. I always play the 3DS like cranked up all the way unless I'm trying
Cranked
to
to the
save.
max.
Yeah. Like I'm pushing that little slider for
I
more
don't know,
3D, even though it's at the top. It's like, give me more. I want more.
It just doesn't interest me that much, I guess. But maybe it's just because it either doesn't work for me or from what I've seen, it just sucks. I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, I always like 3D, and plus, I find the Virtual Boy less like a real console and more like an interesting experiment. Now, to go on our tangent, I guess, if you know Gunpei Yokoi, he
No.
used to work.
No.
Well, good thing, because I'm going to tell you anyway.
Good, explain everything.
He worked at Nintendo around that time. He's been there since the 80s, I think. He was the inventor of the Game & Watch and the Game Boy. He invented the control pad, the like basic ass control pad that's on every controller today. That
Sure, somebody
design,
just went,
he was the
"What's a
first
Game
one
Boy?"
to invent it.
And then trademarked it?
Yeah, and trademarked it, and then every other console had to have a D-pad of their own, but not copy the shape exactly, so you end up with situations where you get weird D-pads, like on the Dreamcast or whatever, but anyway, he also invented the Virtua Boy, and he kind of did it in his spare time, like it was an off project. It was just something he was funning around with, like, I'm going to see if I can make like a Game Boy type thing, but in 3D, and he did, and it was actually in color, too. But
Not
when
just the black and
no, it wasn't black and red. He actually had a color like prototype running, but they found when people tried looking in the view piece with color, most of them like became cross-eyed or headachy, kind of like how you feel, Wes, with like 3D in
just
general.
motion sickness and
Motion-
stuff.
Like the technology wasn't there yet. It uses a combination of
Well,
like mirrors.
It
to,
just needed like fine tune.
yeah,
and
it,
stuff.
it uses like mirrors to view the left and right eye. They see a different like half of the screen that combines together. I don't really know how it works. Like I'm not gonna sit here and like try and explain the specs, but generally it's 3D, but the technology wasn't there yet. But Nintendo, at the time, they were still selling Super Nintendo games. This was before the N64 was coming out. Nintendo was worried, like, oh, well, Super Nintendo's getting kind of old. N64 won't be out for another year or so. We need something to fill the gap in between because, oh no, Sega's got, the Saturn and Sony's making the PlayStation. We need to, have something. So they pushed Gunpei Yokoi to release the Virtual Boy in the form it is today, more or less, when basically he told them, guys, this thing isn't ready. Like, it's not meant to be a console. And they're like, do it. So he's like, okay. And that's why the thing
Crashed
sucks.
and burned.
I mean,
So basically, he needed a lot more time to get it working
yeah.
properly.
And if you'd given him a few more years, we would have had something the equivalent of like the 3DS's 3D. Like, it doesn't need glasses. It's in color. It looks great. And that would have been years ago. Imagine how many, like, it was years later until Nintendo actually made the 3DS and made that functional. Just because Yokoi, he wasn't allowed to work on this thing anymore. He had to release it as it was. And as it was not good enough. And of course it failed.
Do you think that if given a couple more years or so, and he had gotten it fine-tuned to where it was actually a functional thing, do you think it would have ended up being one of those extremely overpriced consoles that failed anyway?
I don't know.
Possible.
It like the 3D. It could have been that
It,
way.
it would have probably been the most expensive on the market, but it probably wouldn't have been as expensive as, compared to the brand new consoles nowadays that are like $700 when they first come out.
And even like the 3DO back then was expensive. Like it was probably in that range.
Thought it was
The
around
Neo
$700,
Geo
I think.
console. The Neo Geo. What is it? It's not the MVS. It's the other one. The home console version of it was. You remember the Neo Geo, like the big giant cartridges, because it was literally the arcade hardware. That was great, but when it came out, it was expensive. It was only for like rich people because the console was like $1,000. Games were like $500 a piece.
Oh, Jesus.
But to them, it was worth it because it was a literal arcade quality game, and their home when that didn't exist. Like you get ports on Super Nintendo and stuff, but they never matched the arcade quality. And here's a home console that did that. But yes, it was very expensive, so it probably would have been really expensive had they completed the Virtual Boy to a more functional state. But
yeah, if they had waited till like after N64 had come out, they could have probably had it full color and the actual 3D,
and
like
not
the
hurting
3DS.
people's eyes. Yeah, it just needed a little more time. But Nintendo was pushy. They wanted some console to fill the gap between, Super Nintendo and N64. So that's what happened. And of course, it lasted for about a year. And once the N64 came out, no one cared about the Virtual Boy
Yeah, it kinda
anymore,
just
especially
dropped
with
off
all
the
the
face of the
problems it
earth.
had. So it just disappeared. And by then, like, when I was tall enough to look into the eyepiece, it was already gone from stores. I never got a chance to look in one or see one, like, real one in action. I was able to play an emulator and, like, oh, gasp, an emulator, no. I think I hear the feds outside. But seriously, like, I played the games, and they're okay games. Not all of them are, people are like, oh, these games are terrible because the Virtual Boy. Like, no, some of them are really good, like the Wario game and, the Teleroboxer. But, yeah, I never got a chance to play a real one, and now I have that chance, and I'm really looking forward to it.
What games did you end up getting for it?
Let me see. Actually, I think I remember. I got Mario Tennis, which I think was packed in with a console when it came out.
Yeah, I think it came
So
with
that's
it.
going to be the most common one.
Probably.
Yeah, there was a
It
couple copies of that.
Yeah, it was pretty
sitting there.
inexpensive, and the rest were about $20-something. With the exception of Waterworld, which was about $100, but that's because it was one of the later games, and it's frickin' Waterworld. Like a bum of a movie released a game on a bomb of a console. It's like
Yeah,
That's a
that's about as
special-
bad as you can get
that's a special combination.
because games based off of movies and vice versa almost always fail, and then you
And
put
they
it
put
on
a console
yeah,
that's already
console that's
a
already
failure, and
uh,
yeah, it was a mess. But so I got Mario Tennis. I got Red Alarm, which is like Star Fox kind of with like the polygon ships. You just fly around, shoot stuff in 3D. Like it's 3D polygons with 3D, so that'd be cool. And Teleroboxer, which of course it's a boxing game. You're a robot first person, and it's a real cool idea and a fun, solid game. And what was the last one? I got one other one. Oh, Panic Bomber, which is one of the Bomberman series games, believe it or not, with the characters. But it's like a puzzle game like Bean Machine or Tetris Attack or something, Dr. Mario along those lines. Which is weird. It's like puzzle games were at home on like Game Boy or consoles, but there's nothing... Like Panic Bomber's a fun game, I think, but there's no reason it needed to be on Virtual Boy. The same with like the Wario game. Like there's 3D in it, sure, like, but there's no reason for it to not exist on normal consoles. There's nothing crazy about
What would
it.
have been fun is if they had designed a Bomberman game from like a 3D perspective, like maybe a behind his back view, or even a first person perspective where he's going through the little labyrinth areas, laying bombs and stuff.
Yeah, like first person anything would have been cool on
But
Virtual
then they
Boy.
make it a puzzle game instead.
Yeah. Like, it would be neat to see something like Wolfenstein or Doom on
yeah, that
Virtual Boy. I don't know how well it'd run it,
Doom
but
probably not, but I could see Wolfenstein being on it.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty easy.
it'd probably be able to, like,
Wolfenstein 3, yeah, that one was a pretty small game.
and to this day, I still would like to see, like, just the original Doom and or Wolfenstein, same graphics and everything, but stereoscopic 3D. And that to me would be a fun game to play, like have it on 3DS or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, that would be probably pretty good.
I don't know. I find this thing, the Virtual Boy, ultimately as an interesting piece of technology, like a piece of history, basically, a weird history lesson for the game industry in general. And after Yokoi was told to release this thing, and he was sad at its, failure because it wasn't meant to be released as it was around then he left Nintendo and went to Bandai, and he created the Wonder Swan, which is another handheld console, which only came out in Japan, and it had some interesting games and features and stuff, and then shortly after that he died after getting in a car accident, and it's sad because he was a great inventor. He started working at Nintendo making like crazy toys. He made like that weird little squeezy hand thing that like telescopes out and grabs stuff, like a toy version of that. So he's like funning around with it at work, grabbing stuff, and his boss guy was like, hey, can you like mass produce this? This is a great idea. And he's like, okay. He would just invent crap and released it, toys and things, and then Nintendo started making video games, and they made the Game & Watch, and he invented the control pad and all this other cool stuff, and the Game Boy, and yeah, he's a great, cool guy, but yeah, it's kind of sad that his last thing in Nintendo, like after all those great inventions, was the Virtual Boy, but it's not his fault. The thing bombed. It was meant to be an experimental thing, not a console, so you can blame Nintendo for that. It's like, they're like, how dare you keep this to yourself? You need to release this technology because we need something before the N64 comes out. And then when it fails, they're like, how dare you not make it as good as you should have? You should have worked on it more. It's like, I was working on it. You didn't give me enough time to finish it.
That's like at work. It's like, oh, you need to do all this and this. And, oh, well, you didn't do more than that? Okay, well, you should have done better. Yeah. So, what have you been up to?
Yeah.
So, Jason, there's something that I've been holding back on telling you.
Okay.
Are you excited or scared or nervous or queasy?
Yes, everything.
Okay. I've been playing Persona 4 again.
Yay! Finally. Like, you think you're waiting a long time for another podcast from us? I've been waiting twice as long for him to play Persona 4 again. Huzzah!
I picked up where I left off, and like when I first started, I was like, what is anything? How do I make things happen?
I have that problem too after not playing a game for a long time.
Yeah, because it's been probably at least a year and a half since I picked it up.
But on the other hand, you don't want to start over because you made too much progress. So.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to go over those 50 hours again.
I remember...
You just got to relearn it.
I remember the whole story leading up to where I was, but it's just remembering how everything works. But, it's basic RPG format. Yeah. It's not too difficult to pick up again.
Magic.
Yeah, but then I kind of just fell right back into it like I never left it,
Yay!
So I just finished the story arc where I rescued Rise.
Cool, and Teddy also.
Yes, fought Teddy, and now he was flat as a pancake and doing sit-ups when last I left him.
And he's better now. And you got to see Dojima drunk.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Fancy talking active kid coming up and telling me I'm not good. I've been doing this job since you was all counting your times tables. That part just cracks me up. Just him getting drunk, and then he like yells at you like, I got this kid that she doesn't love me. This other kid's in the street racing outside killing people. I don't know. Adachi, you're all I got. Take your pants off.
Part of the thing that makes it so funny, though, is that the voice actor really wasn't very good at acting drunk at all.
Yeah, they kind of... Let's just say he's not the only character who, quote-unquote, gets drunk throughout the game. And the voice actors, some of them have fun with it, and some of them seem like they're just trying but not succeeding in sounding drunk.
Yeah. He was...
Which is fine. Maybe they never got drunk before and they don't know how to act, but they should learn.
What is that noise?
My chair.
Oh. Okay. I
You
just
got
kept
gnomes
hearing
in your
this knocking
ceiling.
noise.
Yeah, it's the underpants gnomes in your ceiling.
Okay.
They're figuring out the profit bit. But anyway.
But yeah, but that's kind of what part of what makes it fun for me is like whenever Chie does her little thing where like you knock all the enemies down and
Is
you
this
go,
our chance?
and you all dogpile on them and beat them up or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's those couple of lines. Is this our chance?
Yeah.
Just
Read
a
just
really
like that.
badly read lines.
Just awkward. Like it was a first read. It's like, here, read this for the recording. Is this our chance? Good. Perfect. It's like, you couldn't do a second
There's
take.
one other one I can't think of.
But on the other hand, it's so funny and awkward. I laugh at it every time.
There's two of them. I can't think of the other one off my head, but it's always Chie. And whenever that one pops up, I get so excited I let her read the whole thing instead of just skipping past it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of great lines and great everything. Persona 4 is great.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should play it because it's awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did get a little further than I've gotten in the Persona 4 endurance run from Giant Bomb.
Mm.
But I'm almost there. I'm almost caught up with where I left off. And then everything's going to start being fresh for me again.
And at that point, you might as well just play and not watch them anymore. And that way you'll have more of an incentive to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that I actually forgot in all the time since I played it, I saw the endurance run, I watched them do it, but the one thing I forgot was that I had to fight Teddy at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
and
actually
that's not an
good
easy battle either.
Yeah, I was like, man, this Rise battle is pretty easy right now. What's going on? And then all of a sudden Teddy pops up. I did it was the I can't remember what it's called now, but where he brings his hand back and charges it up and slaps you.
Nihil hand or whatever.
Yeah, I actually avoided it the first time because I remember, I have to block at this point, and I guarded, and but then the second time I screwed it up and I blocked too late, and he ended up knocking down all my guys and. Yeah.
Shit.
But I did manage to get through it without dying the first time.
That's good. Yeah, it's a real long battle, especially if you cast Bufu.
I actually remember. I forgot that I forgot that I had to fight Teddy, and then when it popped up, I was like, oh wait, there's something about this. Don't cast Bufu. Don't cast Bufu. I remember that. So the whole time I just used Chie's physical attacks rather than her Bufu-ness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something when Teddy's charging up his wacky hand, you can guard and block it, but I think if you attack him enough during that phase, he'll like drop it and hurt himself, and it does a lot of damage. I could be wrong, but I'm sure the reason why the battle takes so long is you're supposed to do that instead of blocking the attack like you can do and take no damage. If you attack him enough times when he's charging, he'll drop his attack on him and like hurt himself for big damage. And
so you can actually speed it up quite a bit by doing that.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what they want you to do to speed it up. Because even me playing it and having like super strong everything, that battle takes a while.
It does, yeah.
So there's got to be something to it, and I'm thinking that's it.
Yeah, there was also that point during the Rise battle where she scans you and then none of your attacks connect at all, and the first time it happened I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why can't I hit her? And I'm like, I gotta try different stuff. And then halfway through the second round I'm like, wait a second, this is supposed to happen because there's no way that she could be blocking or avoiding every one of my attacks. I just my video game instinct from past other games just told me this is supposed to happen. Something else is going to happen right after this. This is scripted. There's no way. But yeah, so I picked that up again, and I am planning on continuing to play. I'm not going to speed through the whole game or anything, but I am going to keep playing it pretty consistently from now on.
That's great.
So you've only got like 100 hours till you're done or
so,
right?
I think I'm close to 50 hours in right now.
So honestly, you're probably halfway through the game,
Yeah.
It's about a 100-hour game.
I'm probably about 48 hours in.
Yeah. It's about a 100-hour game if you, like, sort of take your time, but constantly proceed forward with the story and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you do every side quest and that you try to do, like it could take forever, but just playing the game, the 80 to 100 hours.
Right now I just want to get through the story,
Yeah.
really, and because that's really the big thing about the game is the story is really good. The gameplay itself is
Pretty standard.
it's pretty basic.
It's got
RPG.
a few neat
Yeah.
things like the knockdown all-out attacks and the
And then
personas
you could
are kind of cool.
you could spend hours trying to fuse personas to get them to have the exact abilities that you want or whatever, but it's really not worth spending a million hours doing that.
Not really, especially when you're constantly getting stronger ones.
Yeah,
You'll occasionally come across like one or two great personas that you want to hang on to for a long time because they have good abilities. And if you keep leveling them up, they're going to keep getting stronger. So it's not like they're going to eventually become obsolete as long as you keep using them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I actually saw some news a couple weeks ago now. I think that Persona 5 is going to be coming out.
yeah, they've been working on that a while. They're showing some trailers finally in the past
Yeah.
several months. And
I mean, you'd still have to get a PS3, I think. But the good news is it's not just going to be on PS4, Xbox One, whatever.
yeah, they're going to put it on PlayStation 3 also, which
Yeah,
is
it's
good.
going to be much more affordable for you to get a PS3 to
Yeah.
play that if you really
at
wanted
that point,
to.
I think I'll take the plunge and get a PlayStation 3.
It'd probably be cheaper than the Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
Probably.
And honestly, like, yeah, it's like years ago when you had like a PlayStation 2 and like there's some person who's like excited, like, I'm getting a PlayStation 1. And it's like, wow, you're far behind and dumb. But no, it's like we had an Xbox 360, so most of the games came out on both consoles. Like, I won Street Fighter. It was on both consoles. There I go. Like, I have to use a shitty controller, but I could buy a new controller, which I did.
Have the Persona games always been on PlayStation?
Yeah,
consoles
they've
only?
always been on the PlayStation. Like, the first one was on PlayStation. The first two were on PlayStation 1. Then PlayStation 4 got 3 and 4.
Yeah.
The PS Vita got the special version of Persona 4 called Persona 4 Golden. And there's enough like new, interesting, different crap in Persona 4 Golden that I'd actually want a PlayStation Vita just to play it, but at the same time it's not worth getting that thing just for that, especially when there's barely any other games for the Vita because it kind of flopped.
Mm-hmm. So
I still really want to try it though.
yeah, they took their time with Persona 5. Because,
Yeah.
wasn't it because Persona 4 was so successful that they ended up making all these kind of branch off
Yeah.
things, the fighting game?
Yeah,
and
they
all
made
that other
spin-offs,
stuff?
Persona 4 Arena and the
They
dancing
just kind of, it
game
seemed like
and
they were
the
just
RPG
milking Persona
with-
4 for all they could get out of it.
Yeah. And there's like the RPG one that combines the Persona 3 characters, which I played a bit of Persona 3, so I know a little bit about them as well, but I don't like Persona 3 nearly as much as Persona 4. And it was kind of my fault for playing 4 before 3, because maybe I'd like 3 a bit more, but just a lot of the things in Persona 3 seem clunky and awkward. Fighting and using stuff and menus and leveling up, it's all not as good as Persona 4. Like, it's flat out just obsolete and awkward. It's not just like, well, it's a different version, so it works differently with the No, it's just, it feels like Persona 4, but crappier.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with it. And the story hasn't really caught me yet. Like, I'm about 20 hours in, and I don't know. I keep playing it eventually, a little bit, trying to get farther, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it. But what I had almost finished was Phantasy Star for the Sega Master System.
Fantasy Star.
Yeah, with a PH. Spit. Spit Star. That's a cool name for a spaceship. I'm trademarking it. Spit Star.
That's one that I basically, when everybody talks about a Sega RPG, that's
they
what they say.
talk about
They
Phantasy
say
Star.
Phantasy Star is the one.
There's a couple other RPG type games on the Sega consoles over the years, but
Which reminds me, I need to get back on playing Beyond Oasis.
yeah, like it's more of like a Zelda-ish Secret of Mana action RPG, but it falls in the same mold.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Shining Force is technically an RPG, but it's like
I love
turn-based
Shining
tactical
Force.
thing. And
Yeah,
I don't even like tactical turn-based games, but I love Shining Force just because of its accessibility, bright colors and characters and fun.
What,
It's really accessible.
What console is that for?
Sega Genesis.
It's also
Genesis?
really expensive to find a hard copy.
Yeah, it's because it's one of those like great games that didn't do so well, even though they made the sequel. It's hard to get a hold of nowadays.
It also seems like when there's a genre that wasn't commonly good or common at all on something like the Genesis, like RPGs weren't very common on Genesis.
Yeah.
When there's a good one, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
just
other
like
thing.
Same with the kind of the beat 'em ups like Streets of Rage. There's a few that are like standout ones. I think the Punisher was
Yeah,
one
the
of them.
Punisher's a great
And
one.
that one's
Streets of
gonna be-
Rage 2.
That one's going to be expensive
Yeah.
unless you want to get it for PAL, which
No,
No.
we don't live in Europe. The game wouldn't work.
exactly. So I think yeah they got well, it wasn't Genesis there, but
The Mega Drive is what
yeah they got the
call it.
Mega Drive, and
Which
then
is the same as
Master System
Japan.
a lot more than it was a lot more successful there, right? So
Yeah,
it's probably a much more common game there.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, when it-
Nintendo was dominating the Japanese and American console markets at the time. Sega found like they were able to keep going, especially in Europe, because it caught up. Sega caught on in Europe like wildfire. They had like tons of cool commercials, although they didn't have Segata Sanshiro, which is too bad because that guy's awesome. But yeah, like the Sega consoles always did great over there, and Brazil got like a lot of Master System games late until like, well, probably around the mid '90s or so, even, which is wacky to think. Like they got Street Fighter 2 on the Master System, which is as bad as it sounds. It's bad.
well, you
And
only have 2 buttons to work with. How does that even work?
Punch and
it
kick.
barely works. Yeah, it's literally punch and kick, and fuck me if I know how it works.
Hold up and punch to do a high punch. And
No, it probably has some kind, like even like the Mortal Kombat games were on Master System and Game Gear.
But they also put Street Fighter on Game Boy, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they put Street Fighter 2 on everything other than basically the
So
NES.
I mean, I would imagine it worked about the same,
pretty much.
except on a bigger screen.
Yeah.
with maybe a few more colors.
Oh, but yeah, guess what? You can put Street Fighter 2 on Game Boy. You can put it in the Super Game Boy, play it on Super Nintendo, on TV, and you get like a spiffy colored border and stuff. Wow. Or, you know what? At that point, you have a Super Nintendo. You might as well just pop in Street Fighter 2 for Super Nintendo.
Exactly.
No, I want to play the Game Boy version.
Kind of like Killer Instinct. You could play Killer Instinct on Game Boy, and for a fighting game that they converted to Game Boy, Killer Instinct actually works pretty well.
Does it?
Honestly, yeah. But it's silly because you can play it on
Sorry.
Super Game. Yeah, you can play it on Super Game Boy, and even play it 2 players. They programmed a 2-player mode for Super Game Boy, so you don't need that cartridge linking crap. You can just plug in 2 controllers. But at that point,
Yeah,
just
you-
play the actual Killer Instinct for Super Nintendo. You have everything you need other than the cartridge. Like, why would you play the Game Boy game when you could be playing the Super Nintendo? I don't get it. It's neat, but unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you'd have the game for Game Boy is if you wanted to play it
Yeah, out of the house.
out of the house somewhere, and at this point, you're gonna drag around a big brick of a Game Boy to play, or a
Yeah,
Game
I
Boy
mean,
Advance, I guess,
Not right now.
just to
probably,
play a
but-
crappier version of Street Fighter 2 or Killer Instinct.
Yeah, like, especially not now, but back then it was the only way you could play these games portably. Like if you go to grandma's house, you
Yeah.
can't take your Super Nintendo with you, but you can take a Game Boy, and it's technically still Street Fighter, so
I guess so.
it's better than playing a fucking Tiger handheld, with the LCD screens. Meh, meh, meh,
Yeah.
meh, meh.
At that point, I think I'd just rather play Tetris, though.
Yeah, I like if I had a Game Boy going out somewhere.
Yeah, play
for the day,
actual
I
games
would play.
that are designed for Game
Yeah,
Boy.
Super
Yeah.
Mario Land or Tetris or Metroid 2 or Zelda Link's
Exactly, yeah.
Awakening.
Yeah, the ones that were
Games
only
that
Game
They
were
were
Boy
designed for
Yeah,
Game
games
Boy, so
that
they're
were
great.
made for Game Boy that weren't just ports of another game.
Yeah, like Link's Awakening and stuff is like awesome game. It's amazing. And then of course later with the color they had the seasons and the ages, which that was loads of fun too.
Yeah.
Especially with the interconnectivity, you could like beat the game in one and enter a password in the other and start the other, and it would change the storyline.
And have like some special items at the start and all that other fancy crap.
It was a really cool idea. I'd love to see those like redone for like 3DS or something. Just
I mean, you can download that just the straight up Game Boy game ROMs for Zelda and all those on 3DS. Hell, you can get Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow now. I downloaded Red and it's the same.
yeah, it's the exact same game, but I'd like to see like kind of remakes. It plays the exact same way, but it's got like modern graphics.
Yeah.
That's always been a cool idea for me. Is like, what if they remade Zelda 2 for NES, but it was the 3D, so it looked like Super Smash Brothers. So you got Super Smash Brothers Link running around, that kind of graphics, but it's Zelda 2, which
even
was
update
the
the
side scroll.
fighting. Like hell, you can make it like the adventure mode in the Wii version of Smashers, where you and a friend could run around killing monsters together. That was great. That was a lot of fun. Like they could do that with anything. Like basically Kirby-ize the franchise and/or characters, because Kirby games always played like that, especially since Superstar. And then it's like now you have like Pit and Samus and Mario and all these other characters in this side-scrolling adventure where you can kill enemies, find items and secrets, play with a friend, just like Kirby. It's fun.
Yeah, the Kirby Adventure was.
All the Kirby
So
games
much
are
fun.
still fun. Like they recently released a robot Kirby game, like Kirby Robo Bobo Planet or some bullshit.
Except
I
for
don't know what
maybe
it's
that
called.
weird Kirby racing game that you have.
Kirby's Air Ride is fun.
Yeah, it's actually fun.
You can play the whole game with one
button. One button. They could.
It might not have been
Yeah.
the best idea, but it was fun. I
It should have
appreciate
been
the
an
simplicity, and it was a
option.
great game.
It's like one button
Well,
for
it's
easy
fun. You just-
controls.
It's like
or
Worms Armageddon. You just gotta
complicated
practice
controls.
it.
I think it could just be because I'm not the biggest fan of racing games in general.
Well, yeah.
I-
But then City Trial isn't
Yeah,
racing.
that's the only mode I
technically
really
it's-
like playing. Is
It's
the
more
city
like an
trial.
arena where you just try and level up your guy and you can explore and you don't have to like worry about getting
I
to the
guess so.
finish
It,
line.
it only
Yeah, I
needed
guess so.
more options.
It just has a learning curve. You do have to like know which items to
There-
look out for.
Yeah,
and all that.
there is a learning curve, and honestly, I just didn't have the patience to learn that curve.
Yeah,
guess.
I guess especially when we're being dicks and getting all the power ups. And running
Exactly,
into
you guys
and,
are
like,
you guys
mowing
know
down.
exactly what
yeah,
to
we're
do. and I'm
doing
just-
everything that needs to be done, and it's like,
Oh,
hey,
I got
I'm
the
just
special
thinking-
legendary dragoon, and I'm flying around at 1,000 miles an hour, and you're like walking on the ground. What's going on?
I
Yeah,
need a vehicle.
I'm just Kirby on a star. That's all I know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I know when I'm playing that game with you guys. I'm Kirby and I'm on a star.
I mean, we could teach you how to play the game.
Oh, I'm sure that would be
Chin poke.
fun. Yeah, and it doesn't help that the fact that I don't own the game and I've only ever played it when you guys are here.
Yeah, so you can't practice on
And
it.
Exactly,
It's not
I
like I
could-
play it very often either.
Yeah. I'll have to just lend you it and let you play it at your own pace so you can actually figure things out
Yeah, I
instead of
have a
getting
feeling.
overwhelmed.
I have a feeling that I might just let it sit there for a while though, and then you'll go, "Hey, have you played that?" No, and then you'll be like, "Can I get it back? Because I've kind of been thinking about playing it again since I lent it to you."
But I've just been staring at the demo sequence for 1 week straight. I haven't even moved. I'm smelling garbage.
So hey, Lauren, other than puking your guts out last week, what have you
No.
been doing?
The usual: work, sleep, and then work, and then sleep. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Play a little, play a little World of Warcraft, but
Glad to know a year later we haven't run out of things to talk about. So Sonic 3D Blast is a game for the Sega Genesis. I like that game. It's fun.
Well, I'm not ing the game. I'm ing the fact that that's, I think, how our first podcast started.
yeah. No, basically what I've been doing is I've been finding like a lot of my old computer games and trying to get them to run on modern operating system, which you wouldn't think would be hard.
Actually,
But
that
it
sounds
is.
painfully,
It
awfully
is.
hard.
It's very, very, very hard.
Lots
mean-
of DOS box configurations.
Yeah.
And then when it's like that sketchy area in between like Windows XP and new shit, or Windows 98 and XP even, it's just confusing territory for those old games.
Although I did get Unreal Tournament 2004 to work easily, no problems. Just
Yeah.
popped it in and it
That's
ran.
impressive,
And
really.
yeah, I was very happy
12-year-old
about that
game.
because I loved that game. and I really liked playing it, but it was like
You said you were trying to get Nox to work.
yeah, I tried getting Nox. Well, I haven't found Nox. It's lost
What
somewhere.
other you
Oh, it's in my room. I have the disc.
Okay, you
I
have
was
the disc.
playing it at
But
some point.
let's see. I tried installing Heretic 2
Oh.
because Heretic 2 is like way newer than the original Heretic. I mean, Heretic was a DOS game.
It was basically a Doom clone, but with
It
a little
was
updates.
fun.
You could look up and down and fly, and
But
there's
Heretic 2 is, a
monsters and
3D,
demons.
third person, completely different gameplay.
It was a 3D action adventure.
And I figured if any of them are going to work, because I have Hexen 2 sitting there as well, and it's like, well, I'm going to try Heretic 2 because that's the newest. See if I can get that to work. And I pop the disc in. It doesn't even know how to read the execution file. It's like, your operating system does not support this type of file. And it's like,
An
okay.
execution file? Yeah.
Really
Those are
It's
obsolete.
setup.exe. How does it not read it?
That's really the absolute worst thing about PC gaming, is that the old games just don't work on your new operating system, and you're not gonna keep 10 old computers with their old operating
Yeah.
systems hanging around your house.
Usually
just to
because
play your
they've
old
stopped
games.
working.
I still wish I had an old functional like Windows 98 computer just to play old DOS games like Quake or Chasm the Rift, just to have that gray area in between the old
Yeah.
and the new.
But yeah, the whole reason you get a
a
new computer is because your old one died.
Yeah,
So-
and
Yeah.
the old games just don't work anymore, and you're just sitting there waiting for like somebody to optimize the game for a digital download or something.
On
hopefully,
Steam or
Yeah.
maybe DOSBox, someone knows how to
Steam or
configure it some
good-
crazy
yeah,
way.
good old games is another
Yeah,
a
Good Old
website you
Games.
can go to.
Dog.
But I mean, nobody has everything.
Yeah.
There's still tons of. I
Like
remember.
Steam
Yeah,
has
there's thousands of games.
It's been a while since I've looked, but the last time I looked, Good Old Games did not even have any Age of Empires games. I think.
Really?
Jeez, really? Not even the first one?
I don't think so. And that was like, it was Age of Empires and Age of Empires 2
Yeah, that was the one.
I've got
and
those
and
and
Command and Conquer
expansions.
Red Alert 2 were my two RTS games that I played all the time. And yeah, they didn't have
Either
Age of
one?
Empires at all.
Did they
I'm
have
not sure
Command and
about-
Conquer?
I think they had the Command and Conquer games. I'm not positive though.
Did they have Warcraft and Starcraft? I mean, those seem popular. I bet you could buy those
well,
on like,
well,
those
Steam.
games don't matter so much because Blizzard has it set up to where if you own a physical copy, you can what do you do with it? But you put in like a code in their website so that they know you own the game, and then you can digitally download it from them.
No, really?
And that
Yeah.
version's probably optimized to run on newer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to dig out my old copies of that. So I can
I'm
do
pretty. Yeah, check
yeah,
it
we
out.
had Starcraft.
I forget.
wasn't
I
good
forget
at
it.
but it was fun.
Yeah, I forget exactly how it works, but Blizzard has it set up to where you can digitally download their old games if you've owned them
Man,
before.
There is
Or,
no cow
or you
level.
can probably just
Well,
buy a digital copy if you
That's
haven't owned
something
it.
I wish
Yeah.
Steam would do because I have a lot of old games, the actual physical games, like the Age of Empires one. Steam has those, but it's like I have the old copy, but it's like there's nowhere on there I can enter a CD key or something to where I can add it to my library and just
Prove
digitally,
that you own it and just be
digitally
like, "Can I
download
just
it
have
for
a digital
free. So
version
no,
of
I'd have to
that
buy
that-
it
for my
again.
computer?"
That should be how it works with everybody, but
Yeah,
But
there's
yeah,
so many
'cause-
games that'll
Because
never.
Steam
all
has
of them.
Hexen 2, it has Hexen and Heretic and all those on Steam. I haven't downloaded them or bought them because I have the CD, so if I could ever get them to work, I could play it. But another thing is a lot of those old ones, even on Steam, they aren't designed to run on the most modern system. You can look at the reviews, and some of them it'll say like they redid Duke Nukem 3D and Shadow Warrior to where it'll run on modern stuff, but nobody's done Blood.
Yeah, it's
And
a build engine
it's
game.
the
just,
exact same
just
engine.
like those.
So,
Redneck Rampage is another one.
Yeah, whoever did the Shadow Warrior and the Duke Nukem is like they did a great job. And if they do it with Blood, I mean, I'd pay $10 for that game
Yeah,
because
it's
it was
fifth
an
up,
awesome game.
optimized version
But
of it.
you read the reviews and like Hexen 2 as well. It literally says if you have like Windows 7 or higher, it runs like shit.
Yeah.
Or you have to go and download special things to make it run, like special EXEs
I mean, it
and
probably
other
run
things.
like crap even on my old Windows XP computer, and my newer one, Windows 7, and it doesn't even have a video card, so I can't do anything with that really. It's man.
So yeah, even with Steam, it's
Blood
like
was cool.
unless somebody has like optimized it to run on a newer system, even then you're not guaranteed to be able to play it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be fun if they did, because there's a lot of really good old games that
Yeah, it's
you just can't play anymore.
yeah. PC gaming is tough, especially if you've been doing it for years. Like
Yeah.
getting those old games to work again is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And there's some, like, especially if you figure out how to use DOSBox yourself, like, I can start up Wolfenstein 3D and fiddle with the speed settings and make it work perfectly, and that's fine. But then, yeah, if I want to play Blood, I can still do it through DOSBox, but it's a wacky combination of nonsense. I gotta get going and make sure the speed settings are right, and it's still not running perfectly fine,
And
but
sacrifice
playable.
the proper goat.
And then, finally, I ran out of goats. I switched to turtles a long time ago. But, man, then I finally get the game working, and sometimes the game will just, like, lock up or something, or kick me out all of a sudden, and I don't know why. Just
Yeah,
'cause
those
it's
are just random crashes. I
it's-
hate those.
too complicated for DOSBox to just run on its own. And that's why they need to optimize it and many other great games so people can play them again, because we have the game, we have the CD and everything. It's just,
Or the floppy disks.
yeah.
Or yeah, in the case of floppy disk, we do have.
Disc 1 of
those.
30.
We
Doom
still have
2,
those.
Hell on Earth. But yeah,
Wait.
they need to fix this, because Blood was great, and it'd be fun to play that 2 players. Never got to. It
Yeah.
was never as popular as Duke Nukem or Shadow Warrior even. Like, even Duke Nukem, you could play it on N64 4 players, and I know it's a different version, but it's still basically the same game. But Blood was never on anything other than PC, old-ass DOS. No one wants to fucking make it good or to work better.
I kind of wish that Sean was here to talk about he got some kind of an emulator for his phone to where he can play old PC games, I think PlayStation games.
Jeez.
He said Neo Geo also.
Oh yeah,
so-
I'm sure it controls like a dream.
I controls like a dream. I'm positive of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just
But-
plug in my controller.
But he
to
said
this
he
thing.
got Quest for Glory 1 to work on his phone, which
Jeez.
was a game we played a lot. It's okay, so King's Quest. If you don't know what Quest for Glory is, I'm sure everybody else knows what King's Quest is, which I've never played, but those are like straight adventure games, right?
Yeah.
Made by the same company. It was their little bastard child.
Was that a Sierra game?
Sierra,
Yeah.
yes. It made by the same people. It was their bastard child, redhead stepchild, Quest for Glory. It was an action adventure game. You could actually die in the game. They had little battle sequences where you'd run into monsters, and it was sort of you'd hit different keys to do like a jab or a slash or dodge, this and that. It was really basic combat, but it had the adventure game aspect to it where you solved puzzles and figured stuff out like that. Really great game. We actually played the remake version of it, which was they set it to like point and click, where the original version you had to put in word commands. You had to type in word commands.
Actually type
to-
the word of what you wanted to do.
Exactly. So we played the remake version of it, but he said he got Quest for Glory 1 to work on his phone, and he said, I think combat is going to be damn near impossible, which
Yeah.
I agree, but he got it to work, which I think is really weird, and I don't even want to mess with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's unplayable to be sure, but it's still a technological feat just to pull it off on the phone. I remember
Yeah,
years
exactly.
ago, I still have custom firmware on my PSP, which basically allows you to do stuff you're not normally allowed to do on PSP, like play foreign games or GASP ROMs or whatever. And basically, I don't have it anymore because I updated the firmware and it didn't work anymore. I had to at some point I had Doom, the PC Doom game, on my PSP that I could play. And that was like 10 years ago or something. So imagine me like, oh man, I have like PC quality, the exact PC Doom game on my PSP. I can play Doom portably wherever, and it's the PC version and everything, and it worked well too. Like they had the controls mapped to like work good, and it was crazy just that a PSP could do that. And it was really when I started thinking about custom firmware and all the possibilities of like, well, this thing could do this or that if someone like made something for it. But I kind of fell off the PSP wagon shortly after. Only ever got like 3 games for it. Well, maybe like 5 or 6, but
It'd be fun if they
a few
could get
games I
Blood
got were
working on it.
fun.
Portable
Yeah,
Blood.
They probably did. I'm sure of it because people loved hacking the crap out of that thing just because it was so easy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oops.
what? I don't know what a snack. No, I'm not hungry. No thanks. So I got a TurboGrafx 16 in the time we were not talking to things.
Oh yeah, you also got
that too.
the TurboGrafx 16.
And the Sega Master System.
Yeah, the Master
and
System. Yeah, the
probably a few other
TurboGrafx
things.
is fun. It's primarily known for its great shooters, and Hudson Soft made some cool first-person action
And
games like New Adventure Island and stuff.
Galaga.
Yeah, the latest game. I had Bonk's Adventure or Bonk's Revenge, which is a great one of the Bonk series. If you know who Bonk is, great. If not, he's a caveman with gigantism. But it's fun. And that and JJ and Jeff, which is just a weird Americanized censored version of a comedy duo in Japan game, which is weird. And World Tennis, which is really weird because it has an RPG mode, which
It's quest
Wes
mode
actually
for
played
tennis.
more than I did.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was
didn't,
until I
I didn't
picked it.
really. I didn't even get that far, really. But
Well, you walked from Chicago to London.
no, it was Chicago to Paris.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chicago to
You can
Paris.
walk from Chicago to Paris, and it only takes like a minute.
Yeah. So basically, the RPG mode starts out with the king of.
Yeah, you're in a castle with the king of tennis
Tennis.
world or whatever, and he's like, "Oh no, some bad guy's like stolen all the
tennis courts.
and you have to go and get him back." And the way you level up in the game is you get money by fighting random opponents like an RPG on the overworld.
But you just play a tennis.
You just
match.
play a tennis match with some random guy.
Against
And
a computer
if
that's
you beat
almost
him, you
impossible
get
to
money.
win.
If you don't beat him,
You
you
get
get
money.
money. Just not as much.
Yeah, so it takes a lot longer. Oh, and also if you don't beat them, then you start back in Chicago where you started,
Yeah.
rather than starting off where the combat randomly happened.
The king's like, "Oh no, you lost. Don't screw up again. Here's some money." And you can do that
Yeah.
as much as you want.
I think I upgraded all my equipment once, and I upgraded a couple of items a third time. And yeah, I actually got to another place.
Wow.
You start out in Chicago, which is a village with about 5 houses, I think.
Just like the real Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. And then I walked to Paris.
That
And
seems simple enough.
Paris has about 10 houses around this gigantic lake, and it takes fucking forever to walk from one side to the other. And then
Well, Paris is bigger than
That's
Chicago,
true.
I think.
that's true. And they also have like a betting house, I think. But I
Sexy.
didn't even mess around with it yet
Oh.
before you wanted to take it back.
Guinea.
But I probably would have played a lot more of that RPG mode, honestly.
Yeah.
And the other thing I found actually a couple of tennis courts where there's like a big bad guy that you have to play
Like a boss character.
like a full tennis match against
Oh.
him, and if you win, he gives you an item that I don't know what you use for.
Huh.
Probably a really good item.
better shoes. or
Yeah,
something.
and then there's like some really vague clue around Paris, like, this is a big lake. There must be something else out there.
Wow.
And then somebody was like, if you could get an inner tube, you could go out on the lake.
Don't look into the Death Star or you will die.
Yeah,
The
so I
third
don't
flame
know.
is on top of the
I might
tree in
have
Dennis
to,
Woods.
I might have to defeat one of the boss guys.
The ferryman loves garlic.
I
No,
might have
he
to
doesn't.
I might
They're
have to
all
defeat
lies.
one of the boss guys to get an inner tube or something.
And swim out there like Toe Jam and Earl and
Yeah.
dive under like Toe Jam and Earl 2.
But God, I actually got pretty good at beating the random enemies that you run into.
Yeah, like,
But the boss guys are ridiculously hard.
ugh.
And the thing that throws you off is when you play the random matches, you're always on the one side of the court,
The bottom side.
the bottom side of the court,
Right.
which makes the most sense for when you're facing the screen and you're playing
just by
on the
yourself,
TV.
and yeah.
But when you're fighting the boss battles, every time,
They
was-
switch.
every time they
sets or
switch, like
whatever.
in a normal tennis match, they'll switch sides. But you're in a normal tennis match, you're still the same human being.
Yeah, still
so
facing
you still
front,
have your first person perspective in your real life.
more or less, yeah. Like Mario
But then
Tennis?
they
Not
switch you, and you're on the. It's like take yourself out of your body and look from this side now.
Really. Yeah, you're on the
It
far
doesn't-
end of the screen,
so
facing down.
That
and
in itself makes it that much harder to beat
It's
this
like-
guy.
a whole new experience. Like now, I learned how to win facing forwards, but now I have to learn how to win on the back side of the screen facing backwards, and it's just confusing. I
so-
never liked that about tennis games either, because every tennis game does it, and it's like, why? I understand two-player mode because one person has to be back there, but when you're playing one player, you should always be facing forward.
Exactly. It's like I know in a tennis match they switch sides, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, not to the person.
Yeah,
playing.
It
they
doesn't
still
matter to the person
see-
playing. Pretend that they switch sides. Like have them face seeing something else in the background. It doesn't matter as long as you're behind the person that you're the character that you are.
Yeah. Man, that's lousy. but-
Anyways, but yeah, it's really
It's a
weird.
weird
The
game.
RPG mode is very strange for that game.
Yeah, I don't know
I
who,
don't
who's
understand.
like, let's make a tennis game. It's like, you know what? Let's put an RPG mode in.
Yeah, and the game is called World Tennis, and I played it thinking like, oh yeah, it's just a normal tennis game. I played like the normal exhibition, and it was just that. Like pick a guy or a woman or something, maybe type in your name, and tennis. That's it. And it's like, okay, I saw quest mode, and I was like, what the hell is that? But I didn't pick it until a bit later. I was like, let's see what this is. And then all of a sudden, King's talking to me, full-blown RPG, stolen tennis courts, which is silly because every random fight and everywhere has a tennis court that you magically appear on. So how are the tennis courts all stolen, which is impossible to do anyway because it's a piece of land, but they have them just in their pockets to fight at random when you walk out. Tennis court, magic.
Well, they have like a rubber mat that they roll out of their pocket.
And then there's like a
Sure.
crowd with all the bleachers. They pulled that out of their pocket too with people.
Nah, that wasn't in their pocket.
Or they just all gather in that short. Where do they come from?
The one difference that I noticed is like in the random matches you're playing on grass, but in the set up tennis court that you have to go to, it's on the hard
Top.
surface.
Okay, so maybe the big guys have tennis courts,
So
and everywhere
let's
else
just,
they're just like
let's just pretend they pulled a tennis net out of their pocket.
yeah, and then like
and
spray
staked it
painted
into the ground.
and spray painted the lines on the ground, and then
Yeah,
like people
so
just
there.
gather to watch.
Pretend,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
It's a tennis
That's
game with a
explained.
King Quest mode. I can suspend my disbelief as far as magic.
Well, the
tennis
best part
court.
is you can lose as often as you want, and it's like every time you lose, the king gives you money. It's like,
Oh,
can't you
but-
just
Yeah,
give me
sit
enough
back to
money
the
to
start,
buy
like,
the
you
best
keep your
stuff
items,
now?
you get all the
Yeah,
money.
the king is so desperate for you to save tennis land and get his tennis courts back that why doesn't he just give you all the best equipment from the start? But then it wouldn't be a game.
Yeah, it has to be a game, but honestly, it's not too bad. It's fucking weird, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's fun and it's weirdness. The only thing is you have to put in a password, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's not
Lots of writing down
horrifyingly
passwords.
long, but it is kind of long.
Yeah.
Well,
Passwords
that's
are
when you
always
just
kinda
go and like enter random numbers and letters and see what happens.
Yeah, you
Or
could,
you
could do
it's
that.
Justin Bailey twice, and then it's all zeros.
See if you're
Cool,
just like
let's see what happens.
super weird far in the game.
Nard
by putting in
password.
random stuff.
0000000. But yeah, and the most recent game I got is Galaga 90. It is what it's called, 90, 89, 80. Is it 90? Galaga
90,
90. Okay.
90, yeah.
I'm thinking maybe in the arcades they called it Galaga 88, and then that version was called, I don't know. But anyway, it's Galaga, but like a spiffy, better version of it. Like in Galaga, you know the thing, bugs fly around the screen, you gotta shoot them, they attack in silly formations. And everyone knows the trick where you can make a double ship by letting one of your fighters get captured by the vacuum beam bugs, whatever they're called. And then you shoot that bug, you grab your fighter, careful not to shoot it. Now you have double firepower, twice, like two ships firing in tandem. But in this one, you can get like a third ship by getting your two fighters stolen and getting them back. And then, even though it takes 3 ships to build up, you get triple shot ship, which is really awesome. But it also means
it's not just a triple shot either. It actually upgrades the shots to where they're like bigger shots.
Bigger shots, maybe slightly stronger. Of course, your ship becomes a bigger target when you do double or triple shot, which is the one thing. And if you get hit, you lose your double shot or triple shot. You get downgraded by 1. And it's the worst feeling in the world because you've lost a ship. You don't have good firepower anymore. And it's like the Gradius.
And if you're a single ship with that little pea shooter, it's the
you're
worst.
done. It's like
awful.
game over. It's like Gradius. You play on the one life principle, like a lot of hard ass shooters of the time. You get all these great power ups right away in Gradius, and then you're strong. You have options and missiles and lasers, and if you get hit, you lose it all, and then you're stuck, slow, weak, defenseless in the middle of a stage with tons of enemies. And at that point, the game's fucking over. You might as well start over.
But actually, the thing about this game is when you have the 3 ships, if you get hit once, it downgrades you to 2 ships.
Yeah, it doesn't take all your stuff away.
So it doesn't take everything
if you have
away.
3.
If you have 2, actually, it downgrades you to 1.
Yeah.
And so you don't like lose a life or anything.
And you can get your 3rd ship back if you get knocked down to 2.
And if you get
or
extra
1.
lives and blah,
you
blah,
get extra lives and you can do that. It's not the end of the world, but it is very demoralizing to get all that stuff and then.
And God forbid you get to a boss battle with 1 shot.
Yeah, you're
gonna be there a while.
The game's just laughing at you at that point.
Yeah.
But beside all that, it is a very fun classic game. I love hearing that Galaga theme in any Galaga game. I love hearing it when it starts up. If I had a cell phone, that would be the ringtone, is the Galaga theme.
Honestly, the Galaga, this is the first version of Galaga I've ever played. Other than this, I've only ever played Galaxian on Atari.
Which is the prequel to Galaga?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Because, like the monsters, the bugs, whatever.
They don't fly in onto the screen, and they're just already in formation, and then they start flying down at you.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if they flew in the screen or not.
And there's no, abduction thing where they abduct one of your ships.
You can't, upgrade your ship. That was the big thing in Galaga when it came out. It's like Galaxian, except that bugs fly on the screen in patterns, and you can get double ship.
Yeah, and you have a chance to, shoot. Are they worth more points as they fly in?
I don't think so.
I think they're worth more.
They're worth more once they're in formation and they're flying towards you.
Yeah,
if
when they're
flying
towards you,
then they're worth more. Yeah,
but if you destroy an entire wave while it's still forming, while flying around, you'll get bonus points for that.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's big bugs that show up sometimes that will leave after a few seconds. If you can destroy them before they leave, they're worth some more bonus points. There's all kinds of ways to get points in that. But it's a really good game.
It's really fun. I'm glad you left the TurboGrafx here with that game.
Because I knew I wouldn't be playing it for maybe a week. I was playing Phantasy Star and, got to the end of that. I was barely... kind of spoilers for anyone who might be playing Phantasy Star, but... Yeah, you basically spend the whole game trying to beat this asshole named Lassic. He kills your brother at the start of the game because he's a tyrant. He's trying to take over the 3 worlds of this system you're in. And you find some companions and you gotta go kill this asshole and save everyone. That's the story. I did that. I found Lassic and it was final boss battle music and everything. He's really strong, really hard to kill, but I managed to beat him. And it's yay. But then the game kept going. It's oh yeah, there's this governor on one of the planets who's hey, come see me when you beat, evil Lassic guy. I want to talk to you. So I went to his mansion and talked to him. Then I get thrown in a dungeon. He's not even there. I just fall through a trapdoor into a dungeon. And it's okay, navigate the dungeon. And at the end of it, some big fucking creature called Dark Fowls or something. And he's this big fucking super monster thing. It's oh, here's the real final boss. In typical RPG fashion. So, and also in that fashion, he killed me badly. I kind of put up a good fight, but it was.
Yeah, but
I was out.
You barely scraped by with the.
Yeah, I barely was able to beat the other guy, and then it's here comes twice as strong nightmare asshole, and it's well, fuck. I do plan on beating him. It's building up strength in that game takes a while because it's Dragon Warrior levels of building up your experience, kind of tedious. I'll get around to it, but it's not gonna happen overnight. I've already spent a long time on that game, maybe 20 or 30 hours, honestly. It's not that long of an RPG compared to now, but understandable. It came out in 89, 88.
Yeah.
when Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest / Warrior were just starting to come on the scene. And it's longer than Dragon Warrior. It's more complex than the first Dragon Warrior. About the same. It's probably on par with Dragon Warrior 2, to be honest. You get some like vehicles for like traveling across water or whatever, fly to different planets. It's a cool game. And Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4 are all on Genesis, and I have 2, and I've started playing it and actually progressing in it, and I might try and get through that someday, hopefully. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much all the new silly games I got. Got about 1 billion amiibo because I have a problem. But other than that, nah.
All right. Well,
That's probably
we've been
about it.
rambling for a while now, so I think that'll do it.
All right. Yeah.
so
any
Maybe we
last
can get
thoughts?
Patrick for the
Yeah,
next
that'd be
one.
cool.
Oh yeah, Patrick wasn't here this time, but hopefully we can get him again.
But yeah, we'll probably start doing these every couple of weeks
Yeah.
from now on.
It won't be another year before you hear from us, hopefully.
Or will it?
Oh, we need to do more so our listener doesn't get sad and
Yeah.
yells at us.
All right.
All
Well,
right,
that'll do it for now.
bye.